he marched around, and after he suffered that, some of the squaws got a better idea that they would start shoveling coal out of the fire with bark and onto his feet, so he had to walk on it. And he went around, moaning in pain. Eventually, he collapsed.
Lighting things on fire.
One guy ran up to him and scalped him. Then he got back up and started stomping around the fire again like this zombie, moaning, skinless, living somehow person. He endured his torture for 2 hours before he eventually succumbed to the fire. So that's the story of William Crawford. Everything the power does, it does in a circle.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, now, normally that would be a showstopper, and that's where I would pitch the old-timey fishing pole over my shoulder and whistle the theme to Andy Griffith. But I didn't tell you a ghost story, so I want to tell you guys a ghost story real quick. About Delaware, Ohio, 1825. It was in 1825 that all of a sudden a big group of trappers showed up in Delaware. There was one trapper amongst the others that didn't really fit in. He went by the name of John Robinson. And the reason he seemed a little bit unusual is because he was hauling big trunks of stuff with him, and normally trappers travel light. Well, once he got to town, he went ahead and purchased some land overlooking the Scioto River and proceeded to build a mansion. Then people started showing up in town. These are furniture makers and things with these lavish, very, very, very expensive pieces of furniture, asking for directions to the mansion. They would deliver this stuff, and everyone thought, how the hell is that trapper affording all this expensive European furniture? Well, John Robinson really would never let anyone go ahead and he wouldn't let anyone approach his house. He just workers, and occasionally the few that did have to go and do repairs or help clean windows or anything like that would come back and they would talk about how amazing his house was. It was filled with all this really great artwork. One very unusual piece of artwork was this gorgeous painting of pirates on a ship, and in the center of all the chaos there was the captain looking directly at the viewer. And the interesting thing about that was that this captain very closely resembled this John Robinson. So the rumor got out, okay, he was a pirate who's decided to settle down. One day, a woman showed up, and she started hanging out with him a lot. She went to the mansion. She was very beautiful, olive skinned with dark eyes, said to be a Spanish princess, they believe. And she would be seen there on the porch with him. She'd wander the banks of the Scioto a lot in these beautiful, elaborate gowns. Then people stopped seeing her. But every time they were traveling in the woods by the mansion, they would hear her, or someone they assumed was her, screaming. A woman screaming in the middle of the night. Eventually, the neighbors got so concerned about this that they went ahead and they got a group of search party to go into the mansion and demand to see where this woman is. They thought John Robinson had murdered her. When they open the mansion, they find it's completely deserted. All the paintings are still hanging there and the lovely furniture, but there's no one in sight. There are cobwebs over the doorways. They come to one room where they see the sign of a struggle. And on the wall, there's a bloody handprint. And above it is a painting of the beautiful, mysterious woman. Now after that, John Robinson and the mysterious woman were never seen again. And because he was rumored to be a pirate, vandals they kept going back to the mansion trying to find his lost treasure, and it eventually succumbed to the elements and crumbled in. But folks still report to this day seeing this image of a woman with a very beautiful gown, with olive skin and dark eyes, strolling the banks of the Scioto. The ghost of John Robinson's mysterious girlfriend. So, now, I'm going to leave you guys with one last thing tonight. Water has some pretty interesting qualities that were. In doing research for this, I came across this French immunologist, Jacques Benveniste, in 1988. He came to the scientific community with this thought like, "Hey everyone, guess what? Water has memory," and he was laughed out of every meeting space that he tried to present in after that, until a physicist that was a Nobel Prize laureate said, "I think he's right." And a lot of other folks started getting on the bandwagon and looking into the idea that water does have memories. There's a Japanese researcher called Masaru Emoto, who also believes it was one step further, that it was also cognizant. He believed water actually is able to think, and he has experiments where you would put a little bit of rice in it. Do you know this? Put a little rice in water and say "I love you" to it every day. And then you have another one with a little bottle with water and rice. You don't do anything. Then you have another one. You say "I hate you." And over the course of weeks, the rice that you love, the rice water, it thrives. The one that you hate rots. Now, that was still laughed off, and it hasn't been taken too seriously until just recently. There's some German physicists who really are starting to get to the point where they're convinced that they can prove the water does have, indeed, memory. And how they do so is they take a droplet of water and they dry it and magnify it. And when they were doing studies with this, they noticed that each person that picked up the water and then dropped it, it would get a different image. And then they started doing something else that was a little more interesting. They would take water and they would stick a living flower, like a rose petal, in the water for some time. They would take it out, then they would take droplets of water, let them dry, magnify them and photograph them, and find that each droplet of water from the container that had the rose blossom in it, or bloom, would have this distinctive pattern to it. They would stick a different flower in, and those would all have different patterns. It does have memory in some ways, and I think that's really, really fascinating. Considering this show where Rob is taking all these objects from the river, that have been submerged in the water, and he's taking them and he's forming them into cranes, into paints, into all these spirits of the river that probably are part of the memory that's been there for thousands and thousands of years, and they're kind of speaking through you, and I think that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for that.
Woo!
Water does have information. Everything power does in the surface. All right. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to pass out cards if anyone hasn't been on tour or would like to come on a tour. Also, another thing going on, I know it might have been difficult to hear and kind of a little iffy with it. Yes. We've just begun to discuss this, but I think Rob has agreed to illustrate some stories, these stories that I've told tonight. So we're going to be putting those to print at some point and have those available. So
nice.
Thank you guys. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, if anyone wants
Yeah, the Booze and Booze tour is a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, several of us that are here have done it. It's awesome. If you haven't done it, you should.
Got a lot of, if you guys want to know, actually what my business is, that's like.
Yeah, you have them in your hand. Yeah, he has the cards in his hand.
I
if
do.
you,
we do a lot of different stuff all year long. Ghost tours, the most popular one are Booze and Booze. Those are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Thank you guys. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Bucky.
Yeah. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you very, very much.
For the haunted house. And I didn't even go in. I was like, I can't handle it.
It's like, thank you. Like, girl, I know you.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much.